So I just finished playing Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, and I have to say it's not as bad of a game as everyone has been making it out to be. Now, yes, it's not a 9 out of 10 masterpiece. It doesn't reach the levels of writing that a game like God of War or even Arkham City has. Not that the Arkham franchise has necessarily had good writing to begin with, but it's still not a bad game. In fact, I would argue this game is pretty damn good. This game is a solid 7, 8 out of 10. And that's coming from someone who hasn't even touched the multiplayer side of things. I've played this game from beginning to end entirely on solo mode. And this is one of, if not the only live service game I've played where it feels like you're allowed to do that without actively being punished. Now, before we get into it, I need to preface the video by saying there are going to be spoilers for the story, the boss fights, except for Batman's boss fight, because I think that one deserves to be experienced entirely just going in blind. But there's going to be spoilers for pretty much everything else. Also, all of the footage you're going to see was captured on a PS5 at 30 frames per second fidelity mode. Thankfully though, this game will run at 60 frames per second no matter how you're playing it. The only reason it's running at 30 frames here is because of my capture card. So that all being said, let's get straight into it. Now we're going to start with the two most important things to the game, which are the gameplay itself and the traversal. And let me just say, this game does not fail at either of those for the most part. Now, I'd say that the worst character to play as in the game is King Shark, and that's not saying a lot because he's still fun to play. Now, yeah, I don't want to be running around Metropolis as him. I don't care to play as him for the traversal. His traversal is like easily the worst. It's bad traversal. But he's the only one with, in my opinion, bad traversal. I haven't maxed out any of my characters. However, in the gameplay you're going to be seeing, everyone is level 13, except for Captain Boomerang and King Shark. King Shark is level 7, Captain Boomerang is level 20. He's either level 18 or level 20. And even then, it's still fun to play as anyone. King Shark's traversal is a lot like Venom in the Ultimate Spider-Man game for the PS2. He just runs and then jumps really far. He has two different traversal modes, a forward jump, which propels him further, and a height jump, which propels him higher. And a majority of the time, you're going to be using your forward jump. This game's traversal buttons are a bit strange. They use the bumpers. So for King Shark, when you're doing a traversal jump to go forward, you'll hold R1 until the bar is full, and then you'll press X and you'll go jumping. Whereas with other characters like Harley, you tap R1, or with Deadshot, he uses a jetpack, so you hold R1. Captain Boomerang, you also hold R1 as long as you want. And that brings me on to the other people's traversals. Harley Quinn has the second worst, and it's really bad at the beginning of the game. It is almost unusable until you start actually learning how to use it. It is not the best, but it is still so fun to use, especially mixing it with combat. Then there's my second favorite, Deadshot. He uses a jetpack and he just flies around. Traversal wise, it's maybe not the most complex thing, but once again, in combat, it is a blast to be using. Flying around, going left, right, up, down, flying forward at them while using your sniper or while using an AR, or if you want, you can use a pistol. Then there's Captain Boomerang, which is by far the best, whether it be for a boss fight like the Flash or just regular combat. Captain Boomerang has the Speed Force. Captain Boomerang has a Speed Force gauntlet, and what this gauntlet allows him to do is he throws his boomerang and he teleports to it. Now, there was a lot of discourse before the game came out on whether he would be running or teleporting, and it turns out both are true. Now, yeah, sure, the in-game explanation is he's running over there, but in reality, we play like he's teleporting. However, you can make him run if you hit the ground and hold the X button. he'll start doing a run. And obviously you're not going to be zooming around like the Flash, but it's still super fun and can be used effectively to knock opponents out of the way in combat. Speaking of combat, every character has 3 weapons they can use. For Deadshot, you're going to have a pistol, an assault rifle, and a sniper. For Captain Boomerang, you're going to have an SMG, a shotgun, and a sniper rifle. For Harley Quinn, you'll have an SMG, a pistol, and an LMG. For King Shark, you'll have an LMG, an AR, and a shotgun. Now, I know some people will be slightly disappointed that Captain Boomerang, the easily most fun character to use, doesn't allow you to use an AR, but I think that's actually not a problem. See, everyone goes so well with the traversal and combat that it's not even a problem. With Captain Boomerang, you'll teleport or run over to the person, shoot them, jump in the air, and do some shots. And speaking of jumping, this game has a double jump that doesn't feel bad. That was another thing I was really worried about, was, is the double jump gonna be boring? Is the traversal gonna be boring? And I'm so happy to say, no, neither of them are boring. They are both so fun to be using. Like I said, I'm capturing all of this gameplay on a new game plus hard mode. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, it's all new game plus hard mode footage that you're seeing. And something that is it just makes me so happy about this game is it's not new game plus in the traditional way where you start a new file with everything you have on a harder difficulty. You can chapter select and it lets you get XP. It lets you play from where you select as far as you want. You're not teleporting to just that mission and that's it. If you want, you can have a traditional new game plus where you start at the very beginning of the game with all of your weapons, all of your loot on the hardest mode you have, which is going to be different for everyone because this game doesn't just have easy, medium, hard. It also has 3 extra difficulties, which is basically like harder, harder, and hardest. If they gave it a name, I imagine that's what the name would be because it's a Suicide Squad game, which thankfully carries me on to the next topic pretty smoothly. This is not a traditional Arkham game. This isn't a super serious Oracle. I need to find Joker. It's not like that. Instead, you're gonna have constant jokes, witty banter, well, maybe witty's not the right term, but banter between every member of the squad, and it is very fun, in my opinion. Now, yeah, it's gonna be lowbrow humor. I don't think they did any of this, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was a fart joke in there. It doesn't take an IQ of like 500 to get the jokes these people are making. Pretty much anyone with a brain and the ability to read even a picture book could get the humor in this game. But it's still funny, at least to me. I think the game does a pretty good job at its humor. But see, the thing is, that's going to throw a lot of people off. For example, when you kill Batman, it's not taking it too seriously. In fact, for some reason, Wonder Woman's death is the saddest in the game. Like, it's played as the saddest, which me personally, I found it to be an emotional scene, even with the silly moment they added. King Shark coughs because her ashes go flying into his mouth, and that's going to be an issue for some people. It doesn't really take any specific thing about itself seriously. It's all just comedy for the game, and like I said, that's going to be an issue for some people. Not for me, though. I think that it worked pretty well. I'd say very well with what it was going for. And it doesn't shy away from having a sad moment at the very end of the game. Post-game, in the end credits, there's a tribute to the late Kevin Conroy, who voiced Batman in all of the Arkham games except for Arkham Origins. And it is very emotional. It is very well voiced. And while it's a in-game tribute to Batman, it is very obvious that it is a tribute to Kevin Conroy, especially with it saying "thank you, Kevin" at the end of it. I think that was the only moment in the game that was 100% beginning to end serious, and that's because there was no Suicide Squad in it. Now, like I said, I know not everyone's gonna like the fact that there's basically no full serious moments, but the serious moments there are pretty good. I think the Suicide Squad, their humor is also pretty good. But speaking of Batman, this game is called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and I've seen some people complaining that this game does a disservice to Kevin Conroy. It's disrespectful, and I think that people need to stop saying things like Kevin Conroy wouldn't like this, because what Kevin Conroy probably wouldn't like, I'm not gonna talk for him because he's dead, I imagine he wouldn't be too happy with people using his name as a way to say this game's bad. He wouldn't like this. I mean, he signed on for the project. They probably could have gotten Roger Craig Smith to reprise his role as Batman from the Arkham game in Arkham Origins, although then that means they'd have to consider it canon. Kevin Conroy knew what he was getting. He saw the script and was like, yeah, I want to be in this. And while yes, he doesn't have the most ceremonious death, it's not this entirely beautiful moment like everyone would want. That doesn't make sense because these bad guys don't have the relationship with Batman, with Arkham Batman, that we do. And as such, it is a somber moment for the player, but just another moment for basically the entire squad, except Harley, who actually makes a comment about how Batman got the last laugh. He would have wanted this.
Oh, he would have wanted this. The real Batman, I mean. Remember his inspirational video?
His plan did help overcome Flash and Lantern. Should we have watched the segment on Superman?
Which, yeah, Batman would have wanted to die if he became a killer. He broke the one rule that makes him different from anyone else. In Batman's eyes, killing a killer makes you just as bad. He becomes Batman. He doesn't kill because he doesn't want to be the person that killed his parents. Yeah, sure, maybe Joker is like an ultra evil mastermind and he's like a super terrorist, but Batman doesn't want to break his no killing rule because for him, the first time you kill, it just becomes easier. He doesn't kill Deadshot because then he would be no better than Joe Chill, the man who took his parents. And I think that the game doesn't really pretend that's not the case. Everyone on Twitter is talking about how it's so disrespectful. No, it's not. Batman would want to die if he knew what he had become. In fact, he even asks Oracle, Robin, Nightwing, and if they can find him, Jason, to team up and kill him. And it doesn't work. That part is disrespectful. An off-screen death of Tim Drake? Nah, that was bad. But that happens before one of the best missions in the game, Batman's boss fight. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil that. The Batman boss fight is hands down the best boss fight in the entire game. It's not even an argument. Batman's boss fight really makes you feel like you're being hunted by the Bat. It is, wow. I don't have any words to describe it other than there's an experience very much like it at the beginning of the game called the Batman experience. And that is just a taste of what the boss fight is going to be. Until the second half where it becomes like every other boss fight. And that'll lead me on to what every boss fight is like. You shoot the fucking Justice League. I mean, obviously there was no way in hell that the Suicide Squad would be able to reasonably defeat the Justice League. Like, they had to make golden kryptonite bullets to weaken Superman momentarily. It's not the best writing. I'll be the first to say it, and so will everyone else in the world. Suicide Squad does not have the greatest writing in the world. And I guess, like, that sucks. But it's also okay, because none of the other games did. Arkham Asylum had a pretty good writing. Arkham City had a very fun story. Arkham Knight was pretty fun, but also had a pretty good story. Suicide Squad's story itself is pretty good, I'd say. I enjoyed it a decent amount up until like the last hour, maybe. But it's just not going to make any sense for how the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. So yeah, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief on that part. And that's just sort of how this cookie is gonna crumble. But at least the boss fights are fun, for the most part. The Flash, he runs fast. And IGN talking about he just moves too fast. I wish there was a he's down, get him moment. Nah. I mean, I know no one takes IGN seriously anyways, but please, for the love of God, don't let IGN give you your end-all be-all opinion of this game. They are bad at this game. This game is fun, and so are the boss fights. With the Flash, you have to basically do what's called a counter attack. A lot like the Arkham games, you'll press left trigger and right bumper when he has the Arkham game counter sign on him, and when that happens, he'll finally become susceptible to bullets. It basically stops his speed force from working as good. Really shitty explanation, I'm aware, but that is just how it is. And while the explanation and reasoning is stupid, it's still fun. And the same goes for pretty much every other boss fight. The Flash, he basically runs around, you shoot him, he'll go, oh, I need a breather, I'm gonna kick your guys' ass. And then he adds in something extra, tornadoes or multiple tornadoes. He breathes and then he's like, I'm gonna kick your ass. Same thing, rinse and repeat. Then the next boss fight, well, let's backtrack actually. Like I said earlier, every character has a relationship with who they fight. And you'll get some characters being what's called psyched up. And when they're psyched up, if you play as that specific character in the mission you're going to, you'll take less damage, do more damage, and get extra XP. For the Flash, you're gonna get Captain Boomerang, and it's not bad actually. I'm surprised I'm saying this, but I think it was a smart decision for the game to incentivize you to play as specific people during boss fights. And it's not just boss fights, it's a decent amount of missions. Not as much as I thought it was gonna be, but a decent amount. But even then, it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be like, ugh, I have to play as him now. I just want to play as him. But it wasn't. I actually liked the psyched up aspect of the game because Captain Boomerang flows so well in the boss fight with the Flash. It's not even funny. It's a blast when you're playing the Flash boss fight as Captain Boomerang. And I mean, let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah, Deadshot's black. They barely comment on it. Boomerang makes one comment about it, and that's it. The game just really doesn't care, and that's super cringe in my opinion, but it allows them to give him his own relationship. And in this game, his relationship is with the Green Lantern, who is John Stewart in this game, and I am so happy because while I don't care for Green Lantern at all, I don't know anything about the Lantern Corps. I don't know why. I've always thought John Stewart was a significantly cooler Green Lantern than Hal Jordan, and making John Stewart the Green Lantern in this game makes me happy because I think he's cool. The boss fight's fun, I guess. I don't really know how to say it. You shoot some stuff, his shield goes down, you shoot him, rinse and repeat for like every phase. It's not even just like nothing's added. The things you shoot are added, the things you counter are added, but that's about it. I mean, that's basically how every boss fight in this game goes, except for, in my opinion, the worst boss fight, which we'll get to soon. With Green Lantern, you get psyched up with Deadshot, and Deadshot is fun as fuck to play in this game. He is a blast, like I said earlier, and obviously that's gonna translate well to the boss fight with Green Lantern, which, surprise, surprise, feels like it's tailored to be played as Deadshot, because Deadshot, he has this hover ability when he's flying and then aiming, and then he can fly over to Green Lantern, he can fly away from things. The boss fight just feels tailored to the person who's psyched up, and Green Lantern is the same as everything else. You shoot him, hide, shoot him, get the shield down, shoot him, rinse and repeat. Now after that, you're gonna play for a while, and there's not gonna be much of any boss fights until you meet the man, the myth, the legend, Batman. I'm not gonna talk about the boss fight. The first half was amazing. The second half boiled down to everything else. Just shoot him, dodge, dodge. That part sucked. That part was really disappointing. But the first part, the Batman part, that felt, I mean, like, okay, he hunts you like Arkham Batman. And that's all I'm gonna say. That alone is what convinced me to buy the game. And that alone was enough. But even then, the gameplay, like I said, was amazing. After that, very shortly after that, like half an hour later, you'll fight Superman, and holy shit, he sucks. You don't know you're gonna fight him in the mission where you do, so there's no psyched up person for him. Although, all of the advertisements would make you think that it's gonna be Nanoe, I think that's how you pronounce his name, King Shark. It doesn't psych you up at all. In fact, you're locked into whoever you get, because it's a transport mission into the Superman fight. And it sucked. Holy, I was stuck as Harley Quinn, which I didn't give you footage of. I actually play as Deadshot in this one because it was more fun. But I was playing as Harley Quinn in that fight, and holy shit, it sucked. He just kept killing me. And I know that's how it should be. He should kill you. Now, I played through the base game on hard mode, and then all of the footage, like I've said, is New Game Plus hard mode. But even then, it wasn't it, man. Basically, it starts at nighttime, and Superman flies around until he gets you with the move that you can counter, where you shoot him with a golden kryptonite bullet, which was made by Lex Luthor of Earth 2. That's right, this game is a multiverse story as well. which I'm starting to get sick of, and I like multiverse stories. But basically, you'll counter him, shoot him with a gold bullet, and it'll give you a specific amount of damage. For example, the footage I have, the first kryptonite bullet I shot him with gives me 44% of what the bullet should be doing. At least I think that's what it means. It doesn't actually explain. But you shoot him with the kryptonite bullet, and then he can actually be damaged. And that's it. That's it for phase 1. And then he just goes up into the sky and makes it sun time. I think he pushes the moon out of the way, but the game doesn't like have an animation for that. He just goes up, comes down, and it's daytime. And that's when the boss fight really fucking sucks. He starts going ultra instinct mode. He's lasering everywhere. He's teleporting. Well, he's flying, but it's really teleporting, a lot like Captain Boomerang has running that's actually teleporting. And while playing as Harley Quinn, you have this like Spider-Man web swinging system that's fun for most combat, not for this one. As soon as you finish the Batman boss fight, you need to play as Deadshot until you get to Superman's boss fight, because that is the best person to play as for this fight. Now, playing as Deadshot, it actually wasn't that bad. I had a decently fun time, although the game kept stealing my shield for some reason, which that's another really weird thing about the game. You can't upgrade your health, but you can upgrade your shield. I don't really understand why. But after the Superman boss fight, you'll play for a little while longer, and you'll get to the Brainiac boss fight. And wow, the Brainiac boss fight is a fight to be sure. Now, the game is talking about how there's multiple Brainiacs. There's 13 Brainiacs, and you need to kill them all. And that's going to be how the live service aspect of this game comes into play. Now, this is fine, I guess. The issue is the Brainiac boss fight is genuinely a recreation of the Flash. He becomes the Flash, and that's the fight. The only difference is there's a lot of minions that are shooting at you, and there's flying cars you can use to shoot around, and that's fun. I think the boss fight is fun, to be honest. I think that if it was anyone else, like if that was the Flash boss fight, I wouldn't have had a problem, because, well, I already know the Justice League wouldn't realistically be defeated by the Suicide Squad, so it's a huge suspension of disbelief. So if that was the Flash fight, it would have been fine. The issue is Brainiac is like, why? He has a ship he could be using to attack you with. It could have been like the Injustice 2 boss fight, just hopefully not as hard. That one sucked. But for some reason it wasn't. You just kill the Flash again, and then you put Brainiac in this like tiny bubble thing, and that's basically the end of the game. Aside from all of the gameplay aspects, which, by the way, the gameplay is an 8 out of 10. Like, to me, hands down. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a looter shooter, but the live service aspect doesn't feel live servicey. You can also customize the way your character looks. In all of the footage you'll be seeing, I actually have my Harley Quinn customized to look like to have the head of Arkham Harley, because they give her a god-awful haircut in this game. Can't stand it. You can give her the Arkham haircut for Harley, and you can also give her the corset she wears in, I think it's Arkham Asylum. It's just a recolor, and I think that's pretty cool. There's 3 chest pieces, 3 head pieces for everyone, and then there's a bunch of color swatches. That's what they're called. They're basically just recolors of what you have, and I just think it's really fun. Like, my King Shark has the Riddler's bowler hat. Doesn't really add anything, but it's funny. Aside from that, I don't think there's much to talk about. I think that a lot of the hate that this game is getting is not from the fans or even the players. I think it's from random people, because this game was already getting shit on before it came out, and I mean, rightfully so. For some reason, Rocksteady could not provide any good footage of how the game plays. It looked like the most boring, unimaginative piece of shit ever. I wasn't going to buy the game at all until I started seeing leaked gameplay of it, and I was like, wow, that looks fun. And my boyfriend bought it for me for Valentine's Day. Very kind of him. But all that being said, I really don't think that the hate is coming from people who play the game. If you look at Steam, it has an 87% positive reviews. If you look at PlayStation, you will get 4.25 out of 5 stars. And the thing these two places have in common is you have to own the game, have it tied to your account in order to rate it. Whereas places like Google reviews, Metacritic, IGN, anyone can leave a review, and that will affect the overall review score. And that's where you'll find things like 2 stars, 1 star, half a star, 0 stars, this game sucks, this game's horrible. People who actually play the game have a fun time with the game because it is a fun game. YouTubers, I genuinely think, are lying to you about this game because they have financial incentive to lie. This game is fun, and I really think that you should experience it for yourself. I personally do think the game is worth $70, which is what it was purchased for me for. So far, I have 15 hours on the game minimum, and it has been a blast the entire time. The story is not as bad as people make it out to be. It's mediocre. Well, the second half is mediocre. The first half is good, but the second half is mediocre. It's not horrendous like everyone's saying. It's mediocre. The whole game is fun. It's good. And with friends, I'm so excited to play with friends because the game really is just a chaotic clusterfuck, and that's what it's trying to be, and it succeeds, and it is just so fun. I can't stop gushing over it. The way boss fights end, yeah, sure, it's dumb. You shoot them, they're like, "Rah, rah, rah," and then they die. But that's it. And yeah, sure, a majority of the missions are just like transport missions. They're defend the objective missions. But it doesn't matter if the gameplay is fun. And yeah, the gameplay is fun. So, is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League a bad game? No way, brother. Not in the slightest. Marvel's Avengers? No way. Leagues below this game. I enjoyed Gotham Knights. I would play this game over Gotham Knights any day of the week. I enjoy this game more than Borderlands 3. I enjoy this game more than most Call of Duty games. This game was a blast to play on solo mode and can only become more fun with friends. Yes, Suicide Squad really is a good game, and I genuinely think you should all pick it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. I wasn't gonna make this video originally. I intended on just playing through the story, maybe playing a little bit online, and that would be that. But after seeing how much negative reception this game has gotten, people like Asmund Gold and Moist Critical just shitting on the game, as well as some of those Twitter posts I showed earlier, just wow. I decided I really want to make a video about this game because it just isn't as bad as everyone's making it out to be. Yeah, it's not one of the best games of all time. It's definitely not Batman Arkham City remake, but it's super good nonetheless, and it definitely does deserve your time. It is a fun game, and like I've been saying, I imagine it's even more fun with friends. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and really listen to what I have to say, and I hope maybe I even convinced a couple of people to buy the game, because I do think it's worth your money. All that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to comment and like the video, as engagement helps it appear more often in the algorithm, and as such causes more people to watch it. And make sure to subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.